Today we're making a super simple crock-pot recipe, a honey apple pork roast. You're gonna need a pork roast, 2 apples, some honey, and cinnamon. I start off with decoring 2 apples. The original recipe calls for Granny Smith apples because they're tart, but I just had Gala apples, so I just used those. You'll just slice those 2 apples. And let me point out that I put a wet paper towel under my cutting board, and that way it doesn't slip around. So I used a sirloin roast or a sirloin tip roast from Costco, and the original recipe calls for a tenderloin. So I just used what I had and it turned out great. I cut slits in my pork roast about 1 inch apart and almost all the way down to the bottom of the pork roast. Once the slits are cut, you insert some apple slices, just fill as much as you can into them, and then any remaining apple slices put at the bottom of your crock pot. Then you'll place your apple-filled pork roast on top of those apples. Now is the cinnamon and honey. So the original recipe calls for 2 tablespoons of cinnamon, but for my liking, I think that's gonna be too much. So I just sprinkled whatever I thought looked like a good amount. And then the honey, the original recipe calls for 1/2 cup of honey, but I know I didn't use nearly as much. I just drizzled as much as I thought I would like. That's what it looks like before I turn it on. And then you're gonna cook it on low for 8 hours. You can do it a little bit longer than that and you can shred it so it's like a Cafe Rio salad. It's kind of sweet, but that's what it looks like when it's done. You can slice it up and serve it with some roasted potatoes, asparagus, whatever you'd like. If you like this kind of video, share it with your friends and follow me on Facebook, Desserts to Dumbbells.